Hi, how are you? And it's nice to be with you. I'm back to talk about retrogrades, and we've got a lot happening very quickly. We have got Saturn going retrograde today, and Saturn goes retrograde once a year, and normally it goes retrograde for quite a long time. It's going to be retrograde until the end, basically the end of September, the 20th of September. And then that's going to be followed by Venus going retrograde. Venus goes retrograde once every 18 months. And on the 14th of May, we're going to have Jupiter going retrograde. And Jupiter also goes retrograde once a year. Now, what's interesting about this retrograde is that they're coinciding Venus. It's coinciding at the same time as Saturn and the same time as Jupiter, so quite quickly. Saturn is about our planning and our strategy and really how we go about living our lives, and not just the decisions we make about our lives, but basically it's about how we implement the decisions about our life, how we live our life. Venus is about what we value and what's important to us and how we demonstrate that value, and it's also going into retrograde basically at the same time, and will stay in retrograde until June 25th. Jupiter, which is about faith and what we believe in, is going into retrograde, and it will stay in retrograde also until about the 12th of September. And what's also interesting is that Saturn and Jupiter will go retrograde basically in Capricorn. So they're both going to go retrograde in Capricorn for the same amount of time in the same sign. And Capricorn is an earth sign. And earth signs have got to do with how we live our life on a day-to-day basis, how we live our life, how we make our money, what our job is, and that's going to be quite interesting, the fact that what we're being asked to do is have a look at how we're living our life, what we value about our life, and what do we believe in, and where is our sense of faith in terms of this life and therefore what's important to us. And what we believe in and what our faith is often gives us our values, which is our personal principles. Venus looks at what we personally value, how we like to be rewarded. And then you have Saturn, which is talking about the everyday life to life. So we're having a good think about whether we are being consistent across our life. So whether how we're living our life sits with what we value and the values we're demonstrating and rewarding and seeking with what we actually fundamentally believe in terms of our faith and our principles. So you can see that the three of them going into retrograde is basically asking us to have a really good look and make sure that we are aligned, that our faith in terms of what we believe in, what we think are our fundamental truths, our go and no-go zones, if you like, our deal breakers about our relationships with people and our decision making, because that's really what we're talking about in terms of faith. We're not just talking about whether we have a religious belief. What we're talking about is what we fundamentally have faith in. So it's about our fundamental truths. And then we've got Venus going into retrograde, which is having a look at the things that we value, how we reward people, how we reward ourselves, and how we seek to be rewarded, and what we do value and how we show those values. Also going into retrograde with Saturn going into retrograde about how we are living our life. So are we living our lives? Are we running our business? Are we working in an operational sense? Are we doing all of the things in our lives that are in line with our values and in line with our beliefs? And that's a really interesting question to be asked. And that's what this retrograde season is all about. So retrogrades are do-overs. So what does that mean? What that means is that we will be shown over the next either couple of months, 1 month, I end up 100, was it 1 month, I think, with, or 1.5 months, 45 days with Venus, 180 days or 160 days with Saturn and with Jupiter. We're going to be shown where we are being inconsistent. We are going to be shown where our values are inconsistent with how we're living our life and are inconsistent with our beliefs. And we're going to be shown where how we're living our lives is not working for us in terms of honouring our values and honouring our beliefs. And we are going to be seen where our beliefs, do they fit now with how we see ourselves, which is our values and our lives. So all of them are up for discussion, because what we want to have is this consistency across all of them, because that's when your authentic self. So it's not saying that anyone, either how we're living our life, we should be anchoring that and using that to reference everything else. It's not saying we should be using our values to anchor that with everything else. And it's not saying that we should be using our beliefs and valuing that to anchor everything else. What it's saying is have a good look, because where there are inconsistencies, that's when we become uneasy. That's when we become distracted. That's when we have questions about our commitment. That's when we have questions about our fulfillment. That's when we're looking at our lives and we're not happy, but we're unable to express what that unhappiness is. So this is the opportunity where that's going to be shown to us, and therefore once it's shown, this is the opportunity for us to move and change things so they're far more consistent. And that's going to be really, really good. Now, they're all not going, they're going to end up in Saturn's going to end up in Capricorn, coming across from Aquarius. So Aquarius and Capricorn are really good together, because remember, Aquarius and Capricorn are hard truths. That's the other thing about Capricorn, with this retrograde happening in Capricorn, especially for Saturn, is hard truths about how we're living our life. And the same with Jupiter. Jupiter is going to be retrograde in Capricorn. So again, that's going to be hard truths about our beliefs. Are we being honest with ourselves about our beliefs? Are we being honest with ourselves about the true nature of our beliefs? Or have those beliefs changed in some way and we haven't kept pace with them? Or are we giving the language that things have changed? But the reality, as they are being manifested in our lives, is that our beliefs fundamentally have not changed. So you can expect there to be some little undercurrents about that, and you can expect there to be some big aha moments. Now, Venus is going retrograde in Pisces, and then very quickly she's going to move into Gemini. And what's interesting about Venus in Gemini is, remember, Gemini often shows us where the things that we're tight and loose about, because there's going to be some things that we're just not going to be able to cope with. Like Geminis are very clear. It's yes and it's no. So Venus, which is all about what we value, and that's why it's called the planet of love, because love and being loved is about being valued, right? And it's one of the fundamental truths about being human in this human experience, is we have all these questions about love, and are we loved, and are we worthy of love, and all of those things. But in this instance, it's not about that so much as how we are rewarding ourselves. And one of the things about the culture now for a lot of us, and this is what's been interesting about the coronavirus, is it's been an opportunity for people to have a think about, well, what's important to our lives? And what are the things that we just can't do without, and what are the things that we really do need to have? So it's, again, this opportunity to have a little bit of reflection on that. So in Venus and Gemini, we can have a little bit of these energy bursts coming and going, and this is what happens with a little bit with a retrograde. It's not 100% consistent, so we'll get some bursts of energy, and there will be a little bit of wavering. Some things will feel really good, and then they'll reach a point and they will not want to go there, and that's going to be a little bit difficult for us to cope with. But nevertheless, that's out of friction and out of conflict becomes the awareness. Where we have friction and where we have conflict, that is showing us that something is out of step, something is out of line, and we need to be working on that. So when you have these feelings of conflict and uneasiness, that's the time when you need just to go, okay, something's not right. Let me explore that. And that's what we need to be doing. And that's what we're going to be asked to do. And I think that's going to be very, very interesting for us. So this retrograde period that's coming up, which normally we have, remember Saturn and Jupiter go retrograde once a year, Venus goes retrograde once every 18 months. So all this is meaning is that we're going to have a chance to go back and have a look at our lives and see that we are being authentic and consistent across this broad spectrum of who we are. So from our core beliefs, are they true? Do they still hold for us? And are we living them? To our values, are they reflecting our core beliefs? And are we making sure that that is how we are acting out in our lives? And again, having a look at how we're acting out our lives and seeing, is that consistent? Looking back at our values and then incorporating our beliefs. And the opportunity is for us to go in and think, okay, what's consistent, what's not consistent? And that's the beauty of this time for us. So it's going to be a very interesting time for us across these retrogrades. It's going to be quite an enhancing time. And if we use the opportunity, we will be able to be more consistent, more fluid, more authentic, and we'll be really walking in our own shoes, walking in our own space and walking in our own energy rather than trying to live someone else's life. We will be saying, no, this is me, this is what I believe in, this is what I value, and this is how I transpose it in my everyday life. Quite an interesting time for us. Something to really, really look forward to, and I think that's really, really great. And now we'll just do a little bit of looking at the cards and see what we're coming up with. I think that's going to be really good. So why don't we work with, well, I'm just getting the cards out of the drawer. Let's work with the Dream of Gaia for Jupiter and see what we get. Very nice. Let's see what they say. Yeah, I'm really struggling with the cold weather. So we'll just have to see how all of that comes, hey? All right, let's see what we've got. Okay, let's see. Dreams of Gaia. Show us Jupiter. Oh, not yet, they whisper. Dream of Gaia. Show us Jupiter. Ooh, see? Integrity. And the Two of Air. Can you see? If you have a good look right at the bottom, there's the balance. Can you see? Scales. So are we in balance with our thoughts? And do we have the integrity that we need? And do we have the integrity that we need to live our everyday life? And are we living our values? All right. And they've just said one more. Okay. Journey. So we're on a journey of discovery to see about where we are with our integrity, and we're going to be bringing our thoughts and understanding of our thoughts into balance. So that's Jupiter in retrograde, and we've got the Sage at the bottom of the pack, which is talking about wisdom and trusting not just our own wisdom, but the wisdom of the world around us. All right, so let's have a look at the good tarot to have a look at Venus in retrograde and see what the cards are for Venus in retrograde. Just giving us space. I've got a really small desk. Ooh. Six of air. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Sorry, six of fire. Was I saying six of air? Wrong colour. Six of fire. So that is talking about us, and our fire is about our relationship to the world. Six is a very harmonious card, and the six of fire is actually looking at it. Can you see that floating? It's floating, and it's floating above the world. So it's looking at really thinking a lot more harmoniously about our relationship to what's going around us. It's getting a download, that's why the break was. Seven of air, beautiful. Look at that. Winged doves, the messages. So there's going to be messages coming into us about the world around us. And these are all beautifully light cards. And six of fire is also another journey, movement. 3 cards each, I can do that. Then the 9 of fire, which the 9s, remember, are the wish cards. So something is definitely going to be highlighted for us. But what I want you to have a look at that is the introspection. She's looking at the stars that she's holding. So again, when we talk about what we value, here it is, we can have a look at what we value, at what we believe in. Stars are wish cards or wish moments, and we get a chance to have a look at what we have been focusing on. So it's quite introspective. So there's a movement towards something new, and it's a little bit lighter, and there's an element of moving towards harmony with the 6 of fire. 7 of air is talking about messages coming in, and these being very interesting messages. These are the doves of the messages, and for us to be thinking about all of the messages that we're getting, and for us to have some introspection. And this is about values, so it's us having some introspection about our values and what we're looking at. And the King of Earth, don't you just love that? And the King of Earth is asking us to be very confident in earthly matters, in who we are and how we see ourselves in the world, and to be really quite assured. So what we're wanting to do is have a look at all these things around us and then take them back clearly to what the earth is. And Saturn, so let's do some cards for Saturn. Let's do some business working cards for Saturn. Earthly matters. Oh, taken a while to get the cards to come out. Okay, here we are. Earthly matters. Let's see what comes up. So we had a journey. The Emperor. Interesting, we got the Emperor and the King of Earth. So it's asking us to be quite steadfast. It's asking us to be quite anchored, to be really focusing on the realities of the world we're working in. So there's definitely journeying here. There's definitely a journey. Ooh. Heavenly Master. Yin and Yang. Balance again. So it is, and it's a 5, so it's a change card. So it is this sense, and it's progression, 4, 5 in the Major Arcana. So there is this sense of things, I'll show you this card in a minute, of things coming into balance for us, us being quite steadfast. So there's quite a journey, and it's quite an emotional journey. And we have Confucius. And I think Confucius is really interesting because Confucius looked at the process of cause and effect. And this is making us understand that there is some, whatever life we are living now, whatever's happening in our life now, there is a cause and there is effect. And we need to be aware that for every action, there is a reaction. And that's why it's important that how we're living our life reflects our values, and our values reflect our belief system. And it's not just the values that we say we have, it's the value that we enact, and it's the values that other people see in us. And that's the behaviors, because the way we behave should be the sum total of our belief and our values enacted in the everyday. All right. And what we've got here again, interestingly enough, is the Ace of Staves. And the Ace of Staves is the new beginning to how we see ourselves in the world. Knight of Coins, another knight, another coin, another knight. We've only had one knight. What am I saying? Knight of Coins, very steadfast. See, look how strong that is. Very steadfast, very sure. So there is a new beginning in terms of how we're living our lives, in how we might be making our money for some of us, for how we might be going about some of our key actions about what our lives are and how we show those to the people around us. But it's a slow start. It's not fast. This is steadfast. So this is taking our time to get it all sorted. Really fascinating card. So once again, values, balance, bringing things into harmony, integrity, really important, a journey. So we're going on a journey of high integrity to make sure that our beliefs are integral to who we are and have integrity about them in terms of their honesty to what we really believe. And that's the journey. And it's the Sage is the environment. So it's this knowing, and it's full of wisdom, and I think that is beautiful. So that's Jupiter. Then we have Venus. Venus again, it's another journey. It is the journey. It's lots of messages. And then interestingly enough, it's the Wish card, but it's of fire. So the 6 of fire, now the 9 of fire. And it's looking at what we value. It's looking at what our focus is, and it's a wish card. So there is opportunity for us for our introspection and some change in how we see our values. And on, of course, Saturn on this earthly planet. This is where we've got we've got the major arcanas with Jupiter and faith. And remember, Jupiter and Saturn are both in Capricorn for about the same time, going direct almost on the same day and coming out within 2 weeks of each other. So, and they're retrograde for about 7 months. What am I saying? 4 months, 180 days. A long time. I'll get that right in a minute. So they're coming out in September and they're going into retrograde now. So that's May, June, July, August, September. 4 times 30. So 4 times 3 is 120 days. My apologies. Okay, so that's a change. So we've got the Emperor. We're talking about steadfast. We're talking about the Heavenly Master. So we are talking about heaven and earth. See the yin and yang, yin and yang. We've got Confucius, which is causing about cause and effect, and things are coming into play. What's meant to be will be. Some things are written. And the Ace of Staves, so a new beginning to how we see the world. And the environment of that is the Sage, the King of Earth for the Venus, and Coins, which is also earthly. So you can see that the focus really is on making sure how we live our lives on a day-to-day basis is a true reflection of who we really are at our most fundamental levels, our beliefs, our fundamental truths, our faith, our values, and how we live those out. All right. Lovely to be chatting with you, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.